So the new episode of Ahsoka is now streaming on Disney Plus, and that is the penultimate episode of this season. This is going to be a spoiler-filled video, which is going to go over certain details. Although this is not an episode where there's a lot to go into. It's a very action-packed episode, I'll give you that much, because Thrawn and Ezra have now been located in their respective positions on that planet. Ahsoka has now arrived, essentially to help out her Padawan, and also try and figure out how to stop Thrawn, how to find Ezra. Essentially, all of those things are coming to a head now, and conflict has arisen to the point where characters are battling against each other. And that's essentially what you get over here. Although it does come after an opening which happens on Coruscant, where Hera is being potentially court-martialed because she did not follow the orders that were given by the New Republic. And it seems like a particular senator is just not convinced that there is a major threat out there. Again, we need those kinds of things happening, that sort of, ignorance and that unwillingness to believe something in order to make sure that eventually those sprinkles happen so that the First Order can arise, which we know is going to happen. But essentially, Hera is saved in the nick of time by none other than C-3PO, who walks in and says, well, actually, General Organa kind of cleared this mission, it's all fine, we got a last second thing, it's all good. Obviously, that's not what happened, but then again, Leia, she has some idea of how bad a return can be. She probably is like, yeah, they're probably telling the truth, Ahsoka's saying there's a big threat out there, like Thrawn might come back, yeah, that's probably something. And so it's not a far stretch after that to go for, what, let's play this out. Maybe it could stop a potential evil from arising once again. And eventually, later on, also, Mon Mothma asks Hera, it's like, how real is the threat? It's like, yeah, we need to prepare for this. So I really like the fact that, there are people still who are, understanding of just how serious things can get. Beyond that, whatever follows is essentially Ahsoka versus Thrawn, even though they're not really seeing each other. But it's all a mind game, because those two are at it against each other. As Thrawn has kind of got the upper hand, he seems to be going after Ahsoka in ways that seem pretty predictable. He has figured out every single move. At the same point of time, Sabine is with Ezra. Things seem to be going fine over there, but eventually Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati show up, and then they're having a fight once again. And I really like the action of this episode. You get a lot of chase sequences in here. You get some really great lightsaber battles, one between Ahsoka and Baylan, a rematch once again. You get a great fight between Ezra, Sabine, and Shin. That was really good, and there's other troopers involved. And I really like how grounded these fights feel. You have sparks flying, you have really these jeopardizing moments that are created for these characters, and they did a really, really good job with that. There's a great scene also where you see Ahsoka training her methods once again. She's sort of, regaining her strength because she lost the previous fight. And she seems to be taking instructions from a hologram that happens to be Anakin Skywalker. So we get another moment here with Hayden Christensen, which is really, really great. I mean, we do like to see Anakin Skywalker in these things. And so seeing that connection come through is really, really great. And Thrawn figuring out who Ahsoka is a little bit into her records and seeing, oh, her master was General Anakin Skywalker. Because, somewhere along the way, I think, most people know exactly what happened with Anakin Skywalker, and so this is not one of those, things where it's like, interesting. It's like, oh, interesting. It becomes a big part of that entire psychosis. And eventually his idea is also that if we push her to a certain point, she can be very unpredictable too, and very powerful. And so we want to play this out in a very specific way. And the way he plays it out gives them enough time to almost finish up loading whatever needs to be loaded so that they can get out of the planet and essentially get back to the other side of the galaxy. And eventually that'll mean taking on the parts of the Rebellion, New Republic that are there, and re-establishing control and beginning the rise of the First Order, which eventually we're going to get to. We have a long time before we really get to that, so take your time, I suppose, on that one. But I'm really excited to see where that goes. It ends on a very solid note, which sets up the finale to come next week. But if you were to ask me right now what I think of the show, I think it's really good. I've really enjoyed pretty much every single episode of it. I think Dave Filoni and co have done a really, really good job of taking the Clone Wars and Rebel stuff and bringing it into this live action setting as they have. They've done really, really great. And I think that as a show overall, it's been pretty solid. I hope that they stick the landing in the next episode, the finale. So we're hopefully able to get something that is extremely satisfying all around and something that everybody is pretty happy with. I guess we'll have to see how it goes. And I like the fact that this episode ends on a bit of a happy note. You do get that little reunion moment between Ahsoka and Ezra, that little hug moment. It's really sweet. I really liked what this episode finally ended up with, and I am very excited to see, like I said, the finale. Made that part very, very clear in this video. But aside from all of that stuff, why don't you guys just let me know what you thought of this episode? Did you guys enjoy this episode? What are your thoughts on the show so far? Have you been enjoying these shows so far, or did you want to see something else? What do you think of Thrawn so far? Then let me know all of those things accordingly in the comments down below. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and may the Force be with you.